that's one of those experiences that, like everything, I don't think that that is going to be really good if you don't understand that group and you're not part of that group.
Yeah.
Now, if you are and you understand it, could 100% be, and I just know this because of the members who talk to me about this, they say it's a really grossly underserved market when it comes to travel, especially in short-term rentals. What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Vacation Rental Revolution podcast. I'm your host, Shawn Moore. We're back with our Whiskey Wednesday segment with my main man, Dave Savolich.
Hey, buddy. How you doing?
Good. Doing good. We kind of always do shows within the show as a reminder for you guys under the umbrella of our Vacation Rental Revolution podcast. Every Monday, we're going to start doing, at the first of the year, our Experts Corner. Every Wednesday, we do our Whiskey Wednesdays, where Dave and I sit down. We talk about hot topics. We answer questions that you guys send in. A lot of those questions come in to support@odyssey.com. So keep them coming in. Post them on the comments as well on whatever platform you're watching or listening on. We'll make sure we grab them. Dave puts them on the agenda, and we'll get them answered. And so that's what we're doing today. And then on Fridays, tune in for interviews with short-term rental investors. And so we'll, with successful investors, success leaves clues. And so we like to have those conversations. But today, it's all about questions and answers and topics. And so
let's get into it today. Well, you know, we got Christmas is next week.
Okay.
I love Christmas time.
Yeah.
I mean, it's awesome. We had a little Christmas party last night with the family, and you know, kids get gifts and food, and it's just awesome. I love it, dude. Yeah. I just love it, dude.
You're like a kid.
I know. Yeah. I am a kid. I'm a kid, like, you know, with all the holidays. It's funny. I remember somebody saying, "Oh, it's 101 days till Christmas." And I'm like, dude, it's Christmas in a week.
Right.
Life goes by fast.
It does.
It is crazy. In fact, Kelly said this morning on a text, she said, "I just want time to slow down for the next 10 days.
So are you guys a family that decorates right after Thanksgiving? Like, when do you decorate?
You know, we do not decorate before Thanksgiving. It's usually a week or so after Thanksgiving. Okay. And it really depends on kids' school and sports schedule. And obviously we try to get it up as soon as possible, but we don't do anything before Thanksgiving. What about you?
November 1st. Boom. Day after Halloween.
Okay. Whoa. We're way before the thanks.
Teresa and the kids, they love Halloween.
Awesome.
It's all about Halloween. Like, they get into it. We've talked about this before on the podcast. Yeah. And then boom, that next day, Halloween goes down. Christmas trees go up. Christmas decorations go up. That's Christmas all November, all December at the Moore House.
Hey, I love that because it goes by so fast. It is once a year. You might as well enjoy it. Yeah. Like, spread it out, enjoy it.
I always make fun of them. I'm like, come on, like, let's get through Thanksgiving, then we'll do it. But it's fun. I love that. Like, they do a great job. I think this year we have 8 Christmas trees at our house decorated.
That's awesome.
I mean, you got, like, you want to talk about, Christmas Village. Just come over to the house,
Yeah, they wonder why people are lined up in your house. They just be walking through your house.
You see my lights outside. You drive by,
that's a funny story. I'm driving one night about 8 o'clock at night. It's dark, going up to the canyon. I look up and it looks like Chevy Chase's house up there and I said, "Hey guys, look, that's Shawn's house." And I mean, man, it looked good. It looked really good, dude.
Yeah, we light it up.
So good work on that. So, okay, a couple Christmas questions. What's the, I always think it's hard to name the top, but in sports and the best, and it's a little bit subjective, but what's your top 3 Christmas movies?
Oh, I have a clear top for me.
Okay.
I love A Christmas Story.
Okay. All right.
That's like my favorite. Yeah. Like, I love it. It's okay. Like, and then I would probably say Elf is in there.
Okay.
And the original Grinch. I like those.
Okay.
Those would be my top 3.
So those are my top 5 or 6 for sure.
Yeah.
I got a little different. My top 3 are Christmas Vacation with Chevy Chase.
Yeah.
Home Alone. I love the Home Alone series. I always watch all those every year. And then the Santa Claus. I love the Santa Claus series. So it's awesome.
I like all those, except for I might be one of the only guys that doesn't like Home Alone. Like, it was on, we were actually, yesterday, we were at a restaurant and it was kind of up on the TV in the background. And I told Teresa and the kids, they love Home Alone. They think it's so funny. And I don't know why. I've always thought it's just corny.
It is a little bit.
Which a lot of movies are corny that I like, but I'm like, I don't know why I've never gotten into Home Alone. So,
that's awesome.
Yeah, I've nenever been a Home Alone guy, but I do like Christmas Vacation.
All right, so best Christmas drink. What do you got?
Well, I like a smoked vodka with cranberry over like a big cube of ice.
Okay.
So,
you got a little smoker and do it all to house there.
Like I do smoked whiskey a lot, where you actually I put it in a carafe, like a wine carafe.
Yeah.
And then you put your smoke hose in there, a little hickory smoke in there, and then you cover it up and you let it sit, and then I pour it over a like a big cube, like those big cubes, like the big balls of ice, and then with a little bit, just a splash of cranberry and then some fresh cranberries in it. I like that as a kind of a cocktail.
Nice.
But I also love to smoke apple cider. And so for the kids,
That's
smoke apple cider,
awesome.
and I love it too.
Yeah,
we do the same thing. You smoke it in the carafe. We put it over, the big cube of ice, and then you put cranberries in there as well, and a little cinnamon stick, and that's a pretty good
awesome.
Drink as well. We enjoy
awesome.
that one.
Good. All right. What about best dessert? Christmas dessert. If you were like, man, Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, whatever. Like, what would you say?
I don't know that I have I don't really have Christmas desserts. Like I like desserts, but we don't really have a traditional Christmas dessert. What about you? Do you have a Christmas dessert that's different than like a regular dessert?
Yeah. Well, we don't do this very often, but Kelly makes homemade cinnamon rolls from scratch, like literally the dough and all that.
You just
I would say that
of my Christmas dessert.
Yeah.
So one of my
he really does like desserts and things like that.
This is my favorite Christmas treat, dessert, whatever you call it. So I was thinking like a dessert after dinner, right? So one of our really good friends makes the best sugar cookies for me every single year at Christmas time.
That's right.
Lene. So if Lene's listening, Lene, like shout out to her Christmas cookies.
Make sure. Hey, let's have her deliver into the office this year.
I'm really stingy with them. So they're like the delivery has to be like I'm like, even with my family, I'm like, she knows I love these cookies. And so Teresa says, hey, Lene, get me your recipe for your sugar cookies. And every year she says, well, I don't really know it. I don't really have it written down. And so she sent Teresa her Christmas sugar cookies this year, like this just a couple days ago.
Right.
And then Teresa said, hey, don't make sure you're giving me the right recipe. Don't be sending me like just a recipe.
She's going to set you up. Dude.
And she was trying to set Teresa up. She said, okay, you caught me. Because Teresa was just joking around. She really sent her the wrong recipe because she didn't want to. She's like,
that puts you in a real predicament because you're like, Teresa, well, these are pretty good.
She's like, I kind of like that Shawn always is waiting for my cookies. I'm like, she gives me this nice plate of cookies, and I always am like, really only one plate, and so she always has a couple plates for me. I love it. It's awesome. And so that's by far my favorite treat at Christmas time.
That's awesome.
Miss Lene's sugar cookies.
All right.
She brings us, and then so now the whole family.
Well, just bring us one into the office. We'll split it in four and try it.
You'll be hooked. It's like
I love
cocaine.
Good. I love a good.
Say no to them.
Good sugar cookie. So all right. Well, let's parlay the Christmas theme into short-term rentals. What is your thought about decorating?
Hey, before we stop on the Christmas theme. Sorry guys, it's my podcast. I'm going to talk about what I want to today. I'm not talking about
Let's diverge.
Hey, I watched a Christmas movie this weekend. It was really good. So anybody, you guys are still listening to this the week before Christmas, like go watch, I forgot the name of it. It was The Greatest Christmas Pageant Ever. Okay. And it was really a cute movie.
It's a movie at the theaters.
It was originally, I think, a play, maybe a musical. I don't know. Teresa and Grace had heard of it at a musical. One of her friends played in it. So I don't know if it was originally that, but it was really a cute movie. And it really, like, I thought it was like one of those feel-good Christmas stories, not all about Santa Claus. It was like his church just puts on this pageant every year about Mary and Joseph and baby Jesus, and they did this, and it was really kind of a really cute movie of how they like brought it together with these misfits that were going to wanted to be a part of it, and it was
awesome.
It was fun.
Good. All right.
So go watch it. You don't watch that?
No, and we
Jake,
love.
Have you seen that?
We love movies.
No? Jake.
We love movies, so that's a great one. There aren't a lot of great movies out right now, so that'll be good. We watched The Gladiator 2, and it was pretty good.
Right.
But
I haven't seen that one.
Not a Christmas show, but all right.
Okay, proceed.
Okay, so we'll keep with the theme. Decorating for the holidays at your short-term rental. So I know a lot of people, they try to really theme up their short-term rentals for the holidays. Some don't. As a guest, do you expect that? Do you want that? Or is it just kind of a nice thing to have? And then secondly, let's talk about, photos of if you're going to do it, should you get photos of it?
Yeah. So for those of you this year, it's too late, right? You're not going to do it right now. You really have to make that decision like in October if you're going to do that. But I shouldn't say it's too late. If you've already done it, it's great. You can still decorate, throw a Christmas tree up if you've got some guests coming in. It's a really nice touch, right? Yeah. It's logistically hard to do though. And so, but there are people who do a really good job with it. And especially with certain type of properties, like I love like mountain cabins that decorate for Christmas. And because a lot of people they come from areas that are warmer, and they're not used to the mountains, and they come in and they can, they've got all the Christmas theme and they've got snow and everything else. And so it's a fun experience and you really create that holiday experience for them. Again, we're in the experience business. Anything we can do to elevate that experience is definitely beneficial. And so not everybody decorates for Christmas. Not everybody logistically is set up to do it. If you are, I think it's a great idea to do, especially because there are a lot of people who travel for the holidays, and we have guests. Those are big weeks during Christmas and New Year's. For example, this year, organize a way to get photos of it so that next year, if you're going to do that, you can start advertising it.
Promote it.
You can change your photos on your listing. You can promote it, and that can be something that can help you stand out above and beyond the competition. Right? We're always trying to give that guest a reason to book our property above everybody else's. Well, if you have two identical properties in the area and you're kind of neck and neck, and you're going to be there over Christmas, and you would love to have the Christmas trees up and the Christmas theme going, then that could help you win the booking over somebody else. And so, something to think about, and I definitely think it's a good idea. And it doesn't kill you if you don't do it. On our properties, we actually don't do it, and so you can still get bookings. Right. But for those hosts that are doing that and raising the bar, again, it's another way to raise the bar and elevate the experience, which is ultimately gives the guest a reason to book our properties above everybody else's. And so, it's a great idea. Now, if you're going to do it, just try to get pictures of it, try to get photos of it, and make sure they're good quality photos that seem like they go with the listing. And so sometimes you have to think ahead for this year, get those photos so that next year in October, you've got those marketing assets to promote that you're going to be doing that again. Good. I think that's great advice. So the key is if you're going to do it, lean in and get the photos. So, absolutely. We had a question. We had a listener, and by the way, thanks for sending the emails in, support@vodacy.com. If you ever have any questions, we'd love to answer those and kind of dial into what you guys are thinking and what's on your mind. Talked about the hottest, they hear a lot about, these are the hottest 5 markets in 2025. So how important is that and how much weight do you put on the top 5 markets that, maybe, these online sites or gurus or coaches talk about? We do something similar. We do a top 10 investable markets report every quarter. And, that doesn't mean that last quarter's markets aren't, still really viable and really good. So how do you decide, hey, what markets to go into? And do you think that's that big of a deal when somebody says, hey, the top 5 markets? Yeah. So one, I love them for the reason of kind of being exposed to different markets, to think about different markets, to look into markets you might not have thought about before. I hate them for the absolute suggestion that these are the top 5, only ones. These are the top 10. Yeah. That's not true at all. We do the same thing. We do top 10 markets every single quarter. Because based on what criteria? My criteria, your criteria, it doesn't they're great for being able to show markets that we're looking at. And a lot of people run lists, top 5, top 10, top 100 across the US. And looking at them, I love them for the ability to go look through different markets and give yourself suggestions of markets that you might not have thought about before. And looking in and saying, I didn't even really think that, Tuscaloosa, Alabama would be, a really good short-term rental market. I wonder why Shawn's saying that. That happens to be one that's on our list right now, right? And so looking into why would that be a good short-term rental market? Maybe I'm interested in that. Maybe I'm not. So I love them for that reason. What I don't like is when people take it as an absolute suggestion that those are the only good markets, right? Because that's not true. There's good properties and there's bad properties even in those markets. And based on what your buying criteria is, what your property goals are, you have to look and say, okay, Shawn might really like that list and he might like those properties. And I try to articulate why we like them. And then, but that might not be why you like them, right? And it's really understanding market dynamics, which is more important, so that when you do see those lists, you can look at it and say, okay, that fits in my buying pocket. That's going to make sense for my property goals, or it's not, right? Because also, just because there's a good market doesn't mean you can go buy any property in that market and make it work, right? Like everything. And there are markets that are not on the list that make great investment markets, right? And so understanding how to analyze a market, understanding What does that ratio between revenue potential and acquisition costs look like just from the investability of the market? What are the profit drivers? Is it something you're going to be able to articulate? Do you understand how to market in that, in that particular area to that target audience that may be interested in that market? There's so many different things you have to look at. And so I love the list as far as suggestions, but you have to be able to know how to peel back the layers of the onion to say, is this investable? Is it an investable market for me and my personal property goals? And why is somebody saying it's a good market or a bad market, right? I've seen markets that are suggested on those lists that don't allow short-term rentals, right? And so they're very, very difficult markets to get into. People who have a license in those markets, they're what we call closed markets, where you can't enter that market. They're closed off, right? There's people that are grandfathered in. Their numbers look awesome, and their operational costs look really, really good. It's very investable for them, but you can't go buy a property in there and operate as a short-term rental. There's no more short-term rental licenses, and I've seen those on top 10 lists before. And so you have to be very careful about the list and looking into all the details of the market before you just say, hey, somebody told me this is a top 5 market. And what you will also find is, like, the top 5 markets, top 10 markets, like even our top 10 list that we do quarterly, it's a musical chairs, right? We, just because the top 10 list changes, all we're trying to do is give you suggestions of the top markets that we're looking at this time. And we try to do a range of different price points. We try to do a range of different profit drivers, all those different things. But some other people's lists might just be on revenue, like total revenue being generated. Maybe it's top line revenue in a market, and their list is based from, the top to the bottom on total revenue. That doesn't mean it's really investable either, because what if those top revenue markets are really, really expensive to get into, and that ratio is not really favorable as an investment. So just know that there's a lot to look into on those lists, that you don't just say, okay, because somebody says this is a top 5 market, a top 10 market, top 100 market, that I'm going to be safe going into that market. You still have to understand how to run the numbers, how to run, making sure that this works for your investment goals in your portfolio.
Well, and I like you said when you first started off, I thought the best thing you said was it opens up other markets that people may not have considered, and areas that you never really thought of before. And so I like that about when they talk about top 10 or top 5 markets. It's like, okay, well, let's see. They may not be even markets that I even considered or looked at. So
right. And I love looking at them. I love looking at other people's top 10 lists or their top 100 lists, right? I love looking at those lists because they give you ideas, and you can look into different markets that like you said, maybe weren't on the radar before. Yeah.
All right. So this is interesting. I was looking at LinkedIn at a buddy of mine, Chris. You know him. He's a hunting buddy of ours. And I looked at his LinkedIn, and his photo was like, it looked like he was about, 22 years old. And so I texted him and I said, hey, my man, like, you got to update your LinkedIn photo. Like, it doesn't even look like you. This is like, less weight, you look young. Your hair's not gray.
That's real nice. Hey, your photo looks really good. Listen, you got to change it.
I called him out. Like I said, guys, look, the next day he sends me a text of an AI generated photo that was like, he looked like an Olympic athlete. He looked like Zeus, from the Greek gods. It was unbelievable. His skin was perfect. He was tan. He had a tank top on, and then he sent me. Then he sent me another one in a suit, and I'm like, whoa! Like, you have to update your LinkedIn to this. So it was hilarious. But come back to short-term rentals. I think a lot of people are using AI generated photos. We see it all the time on Instagram and on social media and all that kind of stuff. And I think it's amazing. It's an amazing tool. We should use technology. It's awesome. But I also think we got to be a little cautious, because the experience and the photos that we create, let's say using AI, better portray the same experience and actual, visual than when we walk through that door of our short-term rental. We don't want to walk through and say, wow, I think we're in the wrong place. This doesn't look like the pictures. Right?
Absolutely. One, I think it's a real slippery slope to use it for your photos and your marketing of your property. We spend a lot of money on our photo shoots on our properties. We always have. we could do it really quickly with AI and save a lot of money and probably make them look better. We want it to look exactly like when they walk through that door.
Right.
You're playing with fire if you are putting these amazing marketing photos out that are AI generated of your property, and all of a sudden that's not exactly what your property looks like when that guest walks through the door. Your property should look at or better than the photos, right? When they walk through the door, not worse. They should, like you said, they can't walk through and say, am I in the right spot? Is this the right property? That is a kiss of death. And one, it's like a bait and switch, right? It's really, really, in my opinion, dishonest marketing because you're setting somebody up to walk in. They're spending good money. They're planning a vacation. While that AI stuff works on the marketing side, on the front end, we see it across the board. Every business sees it. We see it in our world, in the coaching space, in the mentoring space. There's a lot of really cool AI generated ebooks and everything else. Yet nobody knows how to execute it on the back end. You're going to pay somebody because they have these really good marketing stuff on the back, and then all of a sudden you're walking into a buzzsaw and you didn't even know it because that operator is basically just AI generating everything on the front end. That's what these photos would do, and it really sets a guest up for a really negative experience. But really, I think it's just a slippery slope. I think it's really, really slippery. I think it is. Again, I think you're playing with fire if you're going to run down that road and portray something better than what you have to deliver, right? It's like you've got to, in our world, we want to portray exactly what we can deliver. You don't need to underpromise and overdeliver. You need to do is everything you can to put your best foot forward with your marketing assets, which I get and I understand. And you should do that. You should set these properties up correctly. You should design them to deliver this amazing experience. You should articulate that experience at the very highest level. That doesn't mean you should go articulate something you don't have to offer, right? It's like our buddy Chris, right? He's 50 years old and he looks good for 50, but he's not 30 anymore. And
I actually said, how did you do this, man? Show me this app. Cause I'm like, I want to do that to mine. So
it's like the online dating profile, right? The guy that's
shows up and be like
6'4", 250, tan.
And then I show up.
Yeah. Then you got the 5'10" bald guy that's overweight, right? It's like, that's not what, like that's kind of what you're doing. And it's not, again, business wise, that could be a really slippery slope. And I actually hope that people that do that do get caught and get in trouble because you are travel is a
dishonest.
And well, travel it's a very intimate thing for a lot of people, right? A lot of people take a lot of time and a lot of effort, save up a lot of money to go visit places. Who knows if it's a family like the way I grew up, we did one vacation every single year. And that mom or dad that plans that vacation and all of a sudden they save up their money and they go and they spend it and they walk in and they were really attracted to your property because AI generated photos, got their attention. And then all of a sudden they walk in and that's not what you have to offer. It's the 5'10" bald guy that's overweight is what they're looking at. And it can ruin an experience for people, which I don't think is acceptable.
Yeah, it's fair. Yeah. All right, last question. I think we have time for one more. How important is it to, I guess, lean into, and I guess you have to decide if you're the owner of the short-term rental, is how much do you lean into accommodating a disabled guest or disability community? Obviously, there's a big market and everybody travels. And so there might be an opportunity there and maybe a niche that, you can take advantage of. Make sure that your property's set up correct, but also make sure that you promote that in your listing because that could be super helpful and really important for somebody that needs, some of these different things within your property.
Right. And it's, this is one of those that it's hard to know what to do. And the way I lean into this is we've got some members who have this. They've got wheelchair accessible properties. They've got family members with disabilities. They understand that market and they set these properties up for that. Where I say it can be hard is I don't think you should do it as a way to gain market share if you don't understand that. I think that there can be research. Some insensitive, not intentionally being insensitive to, somebody that lives with a disability. But if you don't live with a disability and you don't know, or a family member that does, and you don't know their needs, you can you can try to help and lean in, like, into that, whether it's wheelchair accessible or whatever the disability is. But you could fall flat, right? And because you don't really know the target audience. I always say we should be part of our target audience. When you select a target audience and you create an experience for that target audience, we should be part of that because we understand that group, right? And so I think this is a niche that can be really, really profitable, and it can be a niche that is underserved, completely underserved. We know that I can think of 2 of our members in our Vodacy family that really lean into this, and they do really, really well. And they said it's grossly an underserved market because the reason they know it's underserved is because they travel
because they do it themselves.
They know, right? And so, but they also know what that group looks for, what they need, what would be helpful. Just like I always say with everything, be part of the target audience. Because you're going to speak to that audience and you're going to put together a really good experience for it. So that's one of those experiences that, like everything, I don't think that that is going to be really good if you don't understand that group and you're not part of that group. Now, if you are and you understand it, could 100% be, and I just know this because of the members who talk to me about this. They say it's a really grossly underserved market when it comes to travel, especially in short-term rentals, because a lot of the major hotel brands and hotel chains, they have rooms that are wheelchair accessible. They've got certain rooms that are for certain disabilities, but they do that based on they'll have a certain percentage of rooms. Short-term rentals are basically owner-operators and mom and pops that have properties that they put on available, and there's not as many that focus on that niche and that target audience. And so if you are part of that target audience, it could be a really good road to run down and set it up. Again, it always comes back to selecting a target audience, creating a great experience for that target audience, and then being able to articulate it on the marketing side. And so if you understand that group and you understand how to deliver a great experience for that group and speak to that group and create this experience, absolutely something to lean into.
Good. All right, buddy. That's it for today. Great episode. I appreciate the insights, and hopefully the listeners enjoyed it as well. So,
all right, guys, we'll wrap it up for the day then. So, as always, as a reminder, send those questions in to support@vodacy.com. Dave will make sure we get them on an upcoming episode. You can also, if you're a listener of the podcast, we always open up that we started doing this about a month ago, where if you email into support@vodacy.com and say, hey, Shawn, Dave, I listened to you on the podcast. I'm interested in a strategy session with Shawn. It's the only strategy sessions I do are with our podcast listeners. And so email us in and let us know. Dave will send you my calendar link out, and we'll get on and do a 45-minute strategy session if you're trying to figure out if short-term rentals are the right fit for you. If you're already in the game and you're struggling and you want to try to raise the bar and start to really, really dive into 2025 and raise the bar and really maximize the assets that you already have, let's do that. Let's get that on the books. And then the final thing is, if you have friends and other people that would like to walk into this game with their eyes wide open, again, we have shows within the show. Experts come on. Dave and I answer your guys' questions. We have short-term rental investors that are really successful. And so every single week we bring you 3 new episodes rolling into the new year. And so join us, share the show with somebody that might be interested in that as well. Like it, review it on whatever platform you're watching or listening on. And the final, most important thing at the end of every episode is pick that one thing you can do today. Start building that life you don't want to take a vacation from. Cheers, my friends. Cheers, buddy.
Cheers, buddy.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of the Vacation Rental Revolution podcast. Share this with other people you think need to hear about it. And don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review. Hey, Grace, is there a website? Yes! For more amazing content and expert advice, visit Vodacy.com. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you on the next episode.